Hello, and welcome to the Vocation Plus webinar. Please don't mind our technical difficulties to start. I do want to welcome you and let you know that this webinar is being provided in Spanish interpretation. If you need the webinar in Spanish, we ask that you go to the interpretation at the bottom of the screen and select Spanish.
Bienvenidos a esta presentación. Esta presentación está disponible en español y en lenguaje de señas. Por favor, de presionar el lenguaje que está abajo. Gracias.
We are also offering the webinar in American Sign Language. Next slide, please. All right, I'd like to introduce you to our panelist. Of course, you know me. You know my face. I'm the CEO of Vocation Plus Connections. Happy to be here with you. Dan Silva is our amazing schedule coordinator. And Valerie is the extraordinaire service specialist. Grateful for them and looking forward to hearing from them later on in the webinar. Next slide, please. Couple guidelines for today's webinar. Aforementioned, this webinar is available in Spanish and ASL. This meeting is being recorded and will be broadcasted on YouTube. You are on mute and your camera is not on as a part of this webinar. We ask that you submit questions throughout the webinar to the QA found below. The chat and hand raise options are turned off, and there will be a question and answer session immediately to follow the webinar presentation. Next slide, please. Main highlights for today's webinar. Of course, we're going to go over some program updates. We'll be discussing in-person services and our plans and road ahead, as well as safety protocols and procedures for returning to in-person services and supports. We'll be discussing new and future services as part of reintegrating in-person services and supports with our service model. Aforementioned, we will have a question and answer session to follow. And lastly, we will be asking anybody who's interested to complete a poll or survey at the end of the webinar for additional feedback as we move forward. Next slide, please. A few program updates. Unfortunately, for those of you who are unaware, but we did have a building fire at our main office building at 3985 North Fresno Street. We're pleased to report no one was hurt, while we don't have access to the building. There is a rumor going around their office that I'm Batman and somebody burned down the Batcave, but I can neither confirm nor deny that particular rumor. All that to be said, we're doing very well and operations are smooth, and we are operating from a new location at 4011 North Fresno Street, Suite 103. This is directly across the same parking lot as our previous building at 3985. Moving forward, I do want to inform you that as of June 15th, California is expected to open the economy and communities contingent on two criteria being met. If there's sufficient vaccinations for California 16 years and older, and if hospitalization rates are stable and low. Of course, Vocation Plus will be trending these two criteria. And if, in fact, California continues to move forward with this reopening plan, we will continue with a soft restart of in-person services and supports on June 28th. That's a Monday. And of course, our in-person services and supports will be based on individual comfort to return to in-person services and supports, requests and preferences for services and the types of supports they are receiving. We'll be doing that in one of two ways. Of course, we have our service plans for each individual, and Valerie, our service specialist, will be reaching out to each house individually prior to our start date for in-person services and completing a survey with each home to gather their feedback on what they want services to look like for themselves after June 28th. Of course, our in-person service and support plan is guided by a program-wide safety protocol and practice procedure. And this is applicable for all staff and individuals served. These strict guidelines will be for all individuals participating in our in-person services and any staff working in-person services and supports. And this will be regardless of vaccination status. Everybody will be required to adhere to these protocols. Next slide, please. Services and beyond. So at this point, we are looking to be able to provide a variety of services and supports as of June 28th. Services are not going to look the same as they did before the pandemic. In-person services will be integrated or combined with the virtual services that our individuals have become accustomed to and familiar with over the last 15 months since the pandemic. Some of the services reimagined programming that I'm speaking of are virtual classes, Zoom calls, mobile delivery, meal kits, and so forth. So again, in-person services will be combined with other virtual opportunities that are currently being offered. And Dan will share more of what that schedule is going to look like in future slides. It's entirely up to our individuals served on what kind of services they choose. Individuals served can elect to continue with weekly virtual and remote services, or they can choose to receive both in-person and virtual remote services and supports weekly. Again, there will be more details to follow. Next slide, please. A part of our return to in-person services relies on our wellness and prevention plans. A couple items to highlight is our daily cleaning and sanitization of all surfaces and spaces that we'll be occupying as a part of our in-person services. Cleaning will be done between groups and daily. Temperature screening and wellness checks will be integrated with the scheduling program and will be required for both staff and individuals served. We will practice 6 feet of distance regularly and whenever possible. Mask and face shields will be required to be worn during the duration of all in-person services. Safety supplies such as masks or face shields will be provided to those who do not have them. Another change to our program model is that we're going to have pod and cohort scheduling. And that's going to involve an individual being with the same group of peers and the same staff person for all in-person services. This way we can help reduce any unnecessary contact and exposure with other groups. And this is not to say we want to reduce opportunities for socializing with people outside of pods or cohorts. We're going to reserve those opportunities for virtual environments to spend time with the company at large and with other people outside of in-person program groups. The structure for vehicle transportation and protocols will be discussed later in the webinar, but we will have a strict procedure for being safe while in commute. And of course, our community sites will need to be pre-approved by the scheduling and case management teams. Any community sites that we feel are not applying safe practices will be avoided as community sites we will be visiting. Next slide, please. This moves us into our response and control. We recognize that the pandemic is still very real. And while we see light at the end of the tunnel and we see a lot of great progress, we want to continue to be vigilant and safe. Anytime a Vpci employee or person served exhibits symptoms or someone in their household exhibits symptoms, they will be excluded from in-person work or programming. That's not to say that they can't participate in virtual activities, but to keep things as safe as possible, we will keep them from in-person services until symptoms subside. The symptoms of COVID-19, as indicated by CDC and Fresno County Public Health, can be seen in the slide here. If an employee or a person served is confirmed to have COVID-19, they will be quarantined and they will be able to return to work or program once 3 guidelines are met. All 3 of these guidelines must be met. It has been 10 days since symptoms first appeared and 24 hours with no fever without the use of fever-reducing medications, such as ibuprofen. Other symptoms of COVID-19 must be also improving. It's important to note the loss of taste and smell may persist for weeks or months even after someone's no longer contagious. Next slide, please. Response and control and exposure. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, otherwise known as CDC, close contact requiring a person to quarantine is determined as follows. You are within 6 feet of someone who has COVID-19 for a total of 15 minutes or more. You provided care at home for someone who is sick with COVID-19. This might be a spouse or a brother, sibling, sister. You had direct physical contact with the person who has COVID-19, which might include a hug or kiss. You shared eating or drinking utensils, or somebody got respiratory droplets on you by sneezing or coughing. Based on our contact tracing, if we have reason to believe that a person with a confirmed diagnosis of COVID-19 was in close contact with you, as defined by CDC, which we discussed earlier, we will be notifying you and contacting you personally. So again, if you've had exposure or close contact with an individual at program who has COVID-19, and that contact was within 48 hours before they started experiencing symptoms, we will contact you personally to talk about next steps and to keep you and your peers safe. It's important to note that even in instances where you're quarantined and you're no longer provided in-person services and supports for a period of time while you're on quarantine or at home, you can still participate in virtual and remote services. Of course, this will be as symptoms allow for you to engage in these services, but we want to make sure that we're here for you and we're available for you even during those moments. Next slide, please. That leads us to our next section of the webinar. I'm proud to introduce Mr. Dan Silva, and Dan is going to discuss some of what your schedules are going to look like based off of your selections and our person-centered strategy and plan for getting you back to in-person services. Mr. Dan, take it away.
Thank you, Doug. We appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone is doing well. Okay, of course, here at Vocation Plus, we're doing well. Thank you very much. We hope you're keeping up with the YouTube videos. And a friendly reminder, we can't see you. You're only going to be able to see and hear us. Next slide, please. This is things we're going to be talking about. Now, an overview on the bottom left, there's a little blue person right here, person served. Now, that's everybody in our program. And if you look straight up, This is all the services that you're receiving right now. You get a daily video call through the internet. There's a little red car. Of course, that's our mobile delivery packets or services. And above that, we have our meal kit, which is our food program. And on top of that, we have the goodie bag. And these are all the services you're getting that if you would like to be in either ASL, Zumba, Fables class, Spanish class, bingo, or you're in the case manager Zoom hangout, which I hear is really popular. And also we have the virtual cooking class, YouTube, Facebook, and I forgot Instagram. I got to remember that one. I just keep forgetting that one, but okay. But those are the ones we have. So this is like an overview of everything that we do. Next slide, please. Okay. So every day of the week, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This is what we're doing right now. Option 1 is what we're doing now. You have no in-person services. And what you're doing is you're getting virtual services, which you're getting your phone calls, or you're doing one of the classes and doing the Zoom Hangouts with your case managers. So if you notice that there is no change, this is what we're doing right now. This is option 1, just so you can get an idea. Next slide, please. Now this is option 2. Like Doug talked about, we want to go ahead and open up for in-person services if everything is safe in California, because your safety is first. So option 2 would be 1 day of in-person services. Now, you notice it says 9 o'clock, so you're going to have to wake up because pickup time will be from 8 to 9. So you'll have to be ready, just like we used to, when a job coach arrives at your house and be picked up at 8 o'clock, and then programming starts at 9 a.m. And then the program time will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then drop-off time will be from 1 to 2 p.m. So that's 1 day a week of programming. And on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, this is your choice to receive virtual services those 4 days. This is option 2. Next slide, please. Option 3, what we're doing is we're adding in another day of in-person services. So if you notice, there's a car on Wednesday and there's a car on Friday. That means you can program on Wednesday and Friday. If you choose option 3, you get to program those 2 days. And on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, you'll be receiving virtual services like you have been now. Next slide, please. Option 4, now we got a little bit more, everybody. We got Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those are with the cars. So that means you'll be programming 3 days a week. And Tuesday and Thursday are the days you'll be receiving virtual services. And the reason, this is just like for a soft reopen. This is like something just to start with, because that's what we want to do with in-person services. Next slide, please. Now, just to recap, just so now we have it in words here, option 1 would be no change. So what you're doing now, you'll keep it all the same. So that's your option, because we're person-centered. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with remote services. No change. Next slide, please. Option 2 would be the Friday, which would be in-person services. You get picked up at 8, you start programming at 9, and 9 to 1 will be program time, and you'll be dropped off between 1 and 2 p.m. And the other 4 days, those are the days you'll be receiving remote virtual services. Next slide, please. Option 3 would be you could program on Wednesday and Friday, but on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Next slide, please. Option 4 would be, now we got 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday would be in-person services, and Tuesday and Thursday would remain virtual or remote services. Now, if you notice on the right, there's a /Zoom, because we know that those are very popular with the case manager hangouts, classes. So like Doug talked about, there's a variety of services. It's all different now because we want to make sure we're meeting your needs. So you can program and you can go back home and you can do your Zoom classes as well. Next slide, please. Now, some of the things we did talk about, all the job coaches will be required to take and submit a daily wellness check form before starting in-person and remote services. So it's just a little questionnaire just to make sure everybody's safe and healthy, because before we want to make sure that nobody's sick coming into work, whether it be a regular flu, but especially at this time, COVID-19. Next slide, please. Now, the temperature check before programming, you're going to get a health screening. Anyone with a fever of 100.4 degrees or higher is not permitted to enter the vehicle. Anyone who is exhibiting any signs of illness, fever, cough for any reason will be instructed to stay home. Now, just a quick note, if a job coach is scheduled for in-person services and the job coach is sick that morning, for safety reasons, those individuals or those persons served will receive remote services until the staff is ready to return to work with the guidelines that Doug had provided. But if you have a job, a substitute will be provided because work must go on. Next slide, please. Now, it's going to be mandatory that you wear a mask, face mask, or a face shield. Those are mandatory. All employees and persons served are required to wear a face mask or face shield while at program. You may remove your face covering while actively eating or drinking, but you should be stationary and maintain appropriate physical distancing. Next slide, please. Now, when you're being transported, one of the things we want to make sure we remember is that when the job coach arrives at your home, the first seat you get into, that is a seat you will have for the entire day. All vehicles will be sanitized. So if Shelby is the job coach and Amy is sitting on the passenger side, she's going to remain in that seat for the entire day. Maya and Priscilla will be in the back seat, and that's where they're going to sit for the entire day. In the morning, when you get in the car, when you go program, when you return back to the car, same seats will be expected that you would be sitting in. Next slide, please. And of course, it's hot weather, but according to the CDC guidelines, we have to keep the windows cracked a little bit for airflow. The air conditionings will be on, but the job coaches will have the airflow button pressed at this, as you see the red circle. The airflow will go through the car and not recycle. Next slide, please. Now, one of the things we want to remember, because we have a lot of persons served to take the fax, handy ride, they walk or are transported to our office. We want to make sure that you arrive at 8:30 in the morning, but no later than 9 a.m. And we're going to have a specific area for you to wait with an appropriate 6-foot distance between each other. Next slide, please. Now, some of the way we're talking about pod scheduling, this is just an example. So if Shelby and Ashley are both the job coaches in pod 1, and let's say they're going to go in the morning to Woodward Park. In the afternoon, they're going to go to River Park. So that's what they'll be at. Shelby will have the same people, but she'll only be coming in contact with Ashley's group. They will not be seeing Renee's or Jessica's group in pod 2. If you want to see another person served, it'll continue on virtual services. Next slide, please. Now, thank you very much. Now, this is just a friendly reminder. This is a soft reopening. This is not set in stone. What we want to make sure as far as like if your options, if you want to program either option with a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, just let Valerie know. But this is just a starting point for Vocation Plus. Now I want to pass it over to Valerie.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see so many participants come and join us for the webinar. I hope you're all as excited as I am to get reacquainted with in-person services. I'm just wanting to let you guys know that just because you guys will be kind of coming around the office, it's still important that we kind of maintain distance and we do what we can to avoid crowds. And so part of that is going to involve speaking with your case manager. So one of the things that we wanted to reiterate was you have so many different abilities now than you did previous. So now your case managers have the ability to call and text you from their specific number. So before you just had a general number, the 2218019. Now each of the case managers have their own line where you can call or text them directly. Obviously, they will be answering those calls and texts within business hours. So, you know, maybe if you have the urge to text them late at night, we would hope that you wouldn't do that. But if you do, they're not going to answer you right away. They're going to do that within business hours. Another thing that you can do is you can set up an appointment when needed. So if you know that you want to schedule some time to talk about maybe applying for jobs, or you just kind of want to catch up and let them know that you want something different with your schedule, set up an appointment by calling, texting, emailing, or you can create a Zoom contact for them so you can easily access them. Again, that doesn't mean that just because you press the Zoom button to reach your case manager that they're going to be available every single time you press that Zoom button, but they will get back to you. So that's the great thing. There will be like a missed call log. They can see that you are reaching out and they could get back to you. Next slide, please. Vpci case managers. So we have Kashi, Renee, and Natalie. Natalie is currently taking over my place as I'm doing service specialist, or for the next week or so, I'll be the survey specialist. But you guys are welcome to either write down their number, or this will all be available on YouTube as well. And it's also available on the Vpci website. So their emails and their phone numbers for where you could directly get a hold of them will be available. And you can do that. You can text, email, call. They will be available through those lines. Next slide, please. After the webinar. So there's a few things that I want you to go ahead and do after the webinar. Is I want you to review your options. So everything that Dan just talked about the options of in-person, whether you want 1, 2, 3 days, or you want to remain remote services, which just means over Zoom or phone. I would like you to kind of have an idea of what you want. So tomorrow when I do start the surveys, you know, we can kind of work together to find out what works best for you. You're always welcome to review the webinar because it's going to be posted on YouTube. So if there's something that you got lost in translation, or you need to just kind of review everything, it's going to be available, like I said, on YouTube. Number 3 is figuring out what works best for you, your family, or your care provider, because obviously schedules have kind of changed. And we want to make sure that you're not signing up for something that you can't do. And it's okay if you do at first. I mean, we're not perfect. We're all trying to figure this out together. But just kind of have a general idea of what's going to work out best for your schedule. And number 4, be prepared for the survey. So as I said, I will be making calls starting tomorrow, and I'm going to be going in alphabetical order. So if your last name starts with an A, you will definitely be hearing from me tomorrow. So make sure you answer, please. Next slide, please. What is the Vpci program schedule survey? as you guys know, we've been talking this up, for weeks already, whether you've been in your case manager hangout or, you've just heard through the grapevine, the Vpci grapevine, which goes pretty quickly. It's a series of questions to help scheduling devise a person-centered schedule. So we're basing this schedule off what you say so that your schedule for the remainder of the time that we're doing remote/in-person is going to, as always, will be based on what you want. So I'm going to ask you about, your preference of in-person/virtual attendance. So again, you're going to have that option of if you want to do just virtual, that's okay. That's your choice. You're not going to be in trouble if you don't feel like coming to in-person services. But for those who have been itching to get back to in-person services, we will have that option for you as well. We're also going to be asking you what you like about your current schedule, because we certainly don't want to impede on your current schedule and things that you're doing now. We want to base your in-person services around what you're currently doing so that, you can have some stability there and consistency. How often you would like to receive in-person support. So as Dan highlighted, you have the option of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are the days that in-person services are going to be happening, with also Zoom following. And then understanding and acknowledging our company-wide protocol regarding the wellness checks, the face masks, and those types of things. Because as we've noticed, people do get tired of answering the same questions daily, but it's just something that we do for your safety. And we don't want anyone feeling like we're intruding on their personal lives. This is something that we have to do to keep everyone safe and healthy. Next slide, please. And just a reminder, in-person services are not mandatory. This is something that if you feel comfortable with going in the community, you're going to be welcome to do so. All virtual services will continue to be available Monday through Friday, aside from obviously the case manager hangout is not on Wednesdays. But all the classes and everything else will be Monday through Friday. And then all virtual parties and Vpci functions, they will all remain virtual for the time being. As you know, we all love to hang out and party together, but we are a very big group. So as for now, we will continue to have fun and do our pep rallies and parties and everything. They'll just all continue to be virtual for now. Next slide, please. Okay, if you guys have any questions, it's a perfect opportunity to use the Q&A to type any of your questions or anything that you would like to have answered. Also, the office is also available if you have follow-up questions, and that's 559-221-8019. Doug, would you like to take over?
Yeah, thanks, Val. That was great information. Thank you, Dan, for that insightful information as well. I hope this is providing some good information for everybody here. I do have some questions that look like need to be answered live. I'm sure that if one person has a question, I'm guessing a lot of other people probably have that same question. So I'll go ahead and read the question and then I'll answer it. And other panelists, feel free to jump in if I miss something. It wouldn't be the first time. And the first question is, why is Dan so awesome? You know, I think that's going to require a whole nother webinar all in of itself. I don't know that I could answer that question in this Q&A session. So we'll schedule, actually make note, we'll schedule a separate webinar of addressing the question of why is Dan so awesome. We'll get to that later. The next question is, will all in-person services be 1 to 3 like before? So I'm guessing they're asking, is it going to be one job coach with 3 other individuals served? And the answer to that is yes and maybe no. So some in-person services could actually be one-on-one, where you're having a job coach come and pick you up from your home and providing one-on-one supports for you, whether that be exercising or working on goals. So there's a lot of variety of options. And that's not to say that it may not be a 1-to-3 ratio. You may be with a group of 2 other individuals and your job coach, but there's also some different options for how in-person services are going to be provided. Really great question. Thank you for that. Can we drop off at the office any earlier than 8:30? Unfortunately, no. We need to make sure that we're providing some structure for how we're keeping people safe when they're waiting for their rides here at the office. And so that 30-minute time window is important for us. We don't want anybody any earlier, and we don't want anybody later, obviously, because we need to make sure that they're picked up in time for them to participate. Great question. Why do we have to wear masks and face shields? Another great question. We feel that the community and most community settings are requiring us to wear masks and face shields. And because we are a community-based program, we need to be able to navigate the community safely in a way that's going to make us the most successful community-based program possible. So with that in mind, we feel it's important that we teach people how to enter those settings, whether it be a movie theater or grocery stores or other community sites, in a way that those community sites want us to enter them, which is with a mask or a face shield. So we are going to continue to interface and interact with our community in the way that makes for the best outcome for our individuals. Is this going to be the new schedule for Vocation Plus permanently, or for now and forever? The answer is no. This is a soft restart of in-person services. So this is a way for us to get our feet under us again, making sure people are safe, making sure everyone's feeling good about the in-person services that we're starting. And we feel this is a great way to segue in or slowly move back into in-person services. We will have ongoing webinars and training opportunities as we continue to learn more about the community and the status of the pandemic and our ability to open up at different levels in-person services. And that's not to say during this time, we're going to continue to expand and develop and grow our virtual and remote services platforms. So there's going to be a lot of growth on both the in-person side of services as well as the virtual and remote side of services. Let me dive through the questions. And if you are putting questions in the chat box, thank you so much. We will get to them. Please bear with us. We got a few to get through. All right. One of the questions is, can we go back to volunteer work? Some volunteer and regular work has already commenced, and we are assessing those sites based off the safety protocols of those particular volunteer settings. Work sites as well, we want to make sure that each employer of one of our individuals has strict safety protocols to keep them safe while they're at work. So the answer is yes, we will be assessing volunteer opportunities and return to those opportunities as we move forward in this process. And again, it's going to be based off of the level of comfortability of our individuals, most importantly, and our ability to feel comfortable with that particular volunteer site's safety practices. And each one of our individuals and their families will be very much a part of those conversations and dialogues and decisions with us as we move forward. We have a question, when is Zoom cooking class? That's a great question. So we do have meal kits that are dropped off on a monthly basis, and those cooking classes are being facilitated via a YouTube channel. And if you need more information on that, you can contact your case manager and they'd be happy to connect you with the right staff, including Valerie, who as the service specialist, to make sure you're getting that service. It's a great service and there's some delicious meals that are prepared. How long do you expect the soft opening to last? Through the summer until the end of the year? That's another great question. While I wish I had a crystal ball, I ordered one on Amazon. It has not arrived yet. It's been delayed in the mail for some time. All jokes aside, I really couldn't answer that with a definitive date. we are going to continue to evaluate our soft opening and see how this plays out in terms of our operational success in getting people back in the community. We know that we can do that safely, but the community at large needs to be able to respond, and we need to be able to feel safe about the settings that we're integrating our individuals with. And being that California is just opening for the first time its economies and communities fully as of June 15th, we know that there's a lot of chances for variation and changes in how the pandemic develops or how it regresses, which we're hoping for the latter. So we will certainly be in close communication with everyone in terms of what our next steps are beyond the soft opening. And we will be evaluating this to extend our in-person services beyond what we've described today as quickly as possible. So we don't want to delay, but we also don't want to speed up this process and too quickly get back to in-person services where we're not doing it with quality in mind. Great questions, folks. Thank you so much. When having lunch, do we sit 6 feet apart from each other? That's a great question. I think whenever possible, our protocol is to try to keep 6 foot of distance. Of course, we understand you'll need to take off your face mask, but we understand there might be some settings, table settings, where maybe 6 feet of distance isn't possible given other patrons at those sites. And so we ask that you just keep as much distance as possible. We do feel very confident that a lot of our mitigation strategies, including at the start of each day, the staff and individuals going through a wellness check, which will include a series of questions to help us flag anybody who potentially has somebody in the home with symptoms or they themselves have symptoms, and of course a temperature. So through that screening process, we're really hoping and grateful that we'll be able to eliminate or mitigate any possible people that we'd be serving who have any illness, COVID-19 or otherwise. As we I heard the governor is likely to stop California in most of the mask wearing. We'll be following this. Yes, absolutely. We will continue to follow the guidelines of Fresno County Public Health and the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC. We have continued to be in close knowledge and educating ourselves with best practice based off of those authorities. We do feel that it's important to remain aware of our catchment, specifically Fresno and where we stand, as well as CDC as they cast a wider net and at our situation at large throughout the nation. So as we begin to learn new requirements or maybe a reduction in some requirements, we will certainly evaluate those as to how they apply to our situation as a community-based developmental program. Let's see. The meal plan for in-person services. Of course, individuals can bring their own lunch. We do recommend that if it's a cold lunch, you have it on ice, especially in the summer months. And we will be providing an opportunity for individuals to purchase lunch in the community prior to being transported home. Next question I see in the QA is, are there any vaccine requirements for staff and clients? Currently, we do not have any vaccine requirements for staff and clients. We are not requesting that information from staff and clients. We are applying the same protocols and practices that are strictly aligned with CDC and Fresno County Public Health to ensure the safest situation for both our staff and our persons served. Aforementioned, we are not treating anyone any differently with knowledge. Should that information be volunteered to us that somebody's vaccinated, we're not treating that situation any differently than somebody who may not be vaccinated. We recognize that we are a person-centered program, and we want to leave those options up to individual families and individuals as to whether a vaccination is appropriate for them. Of course, we have ongoingly provided education on vaccinations, including resources and where to receive a vaccination should somebody choose to get one. But in terms of our protocols, that doesn't change how our safety practices and how restrictive we want to be in those practices to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible, again, regardless of vaccination status. Who is going to take Rio's spot? Rio is no longer with us. That's true, Jason. And he was a great job coach. He'll be very much missed. He has a young family and had some other obligations, but I know that Ashley, as a program manager, is working to hire some incredible people to add to the list of incredible people that we already have. And so it's going to be somebody great. I don't see any other questions in the QA. I know some have been left in the chat box. If my other panelists, I know that there's a few other chats that are coming, or questions are coming through in the chat box. Panelists, if you choose to copy and paste those for me, because I cannot read that quickly. Okay, let me sift through here, guys. Thanks for your patience. So I'm seeing some questions come through. So could you choose just Monday or Wednesday? Yes, so there's lots of options in terms of how we want to facilitate and make in-person services happen for our folks. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be the days which you can select from, and you can choose all 3 of those days or any variation of those days. So if you want to just choose Monday, if you want to just choose Wednesday, if you want to choose Monday and Wednesday. So yeah, there's lots of options. So, and that's something certainly to think about and plan to discuss with Valerie when she makes those calls with you and she completes that survey. Will we be allowed to switch from in-person to virtual if it's not working? Absolutely. We want to make sure that program is aligned with your needs and your comfort. So by no means is anything ever going to be written in stone. And that's why we have some incredible case managers, Kashi, Renee, and Natalie, who will be responding to your changing needs. The soonest you can let us know, the better, so we can make those changes as quickly as possible. Ruby asked me how I'm doing today. I'm doing great. Feel good. I could drink a little bit more water, but I'll get to that later. Are you planning to build the old building? Absolutely. Yes, we will rebuild, and it'll be bigger and better. And I know that we're going to be stronger for it. Ada, I think that I can speak openly here about my staff, but they never cease to amaze me, their resiliency and their just their positive nature. Even in the midst of a building fire, the spirit of Vocation Plus is very much alive and well. And yes, absolutely, Vpci strong. And in fact, I think it's even stronger. It's just connected us. And I know that in times of tragedy, it brings people closer. And I can feel that already manifesting here at the company. And it definitely, we are not defined by the building we are in. And we're defined by the people who we are very fortunate to not only work with, but to work around. And staff, individuals, families, everybody has just been so tremendous during this time. We feel the love, the support, and the prayers, and they're definitely felt. So thank you so much. But yes, the building will take some time to rebuild. We are going to remain in this plaza. So we have this space directly across the way, and we will be leasing another small space for some of our administrative operations, because I don't know that the staff could tolerate me in a 1,500 square foot building for longer than 12 months. And so with that acknowledgement, I'm probably going to barricade myself in a different office. Will it be the same job coach? Another great question. I talked to the scheduling team today, and we confirmed that we are going to do our very best as we work to facilitate and make the schedules happen for each person based off what they want, to have it be the same job coach. But understand there's going to be some variations and maybe some changes that are necessary. And if we have some changes that we plan for you, like a different job coach on a certain day that you might be receiving in-person services, we will call you ahead of time, and you'll be made aware of your schedules well in advance, well before the 28th of June. All right. So I see something here. Can Valerie survey conducted via Zoom versus over the phone? Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. And Valerie, I'm sure she's making note of that now, that those surveys can be conducted via Zoom. If you have a preference, please let her know. Even if she calls you and you prefer to connect over Zoom, she's got a Zoom account and she's ready to go. And she's a lot of fun over Zoom. She's a riot. All right, Tuesdays and Thursdays not available. Yes, Tuesdays and Thursdays are not available for the time being, and during this soft restart. And any schedule conflicts there might be with some of the virtual activities we have and in-person supports, we'll do our best to work around, but understand that maybe selecting in-person services or something else that you're choosing to do may not allow you to do other things. So if you choose in-person services on a certain day, and you may not be able to participate in some of the virtual activities that you are usually participating in on that day. And Valerie can definitely help you work through those schedule questions in a little bit more detail. I'm seeing a question here of, and it's a great question, any cough for any reason disqualifies you? And I think the answer is obviously no. We are going to complete a wellness check with interest in being able to dig into that information a little bit more. By no means is a wellness check like a red flag if somebody says, hey, yeah, I got a cough or something along that nature. Are we going to preclude them from in-person services? But we'll probably keep them from in-person services that day while we investigate the cause for that cough or some of the other illnesses or symptoms that are similar to that of COVID-19. So we understand we live in the Valley, there's allergies, and there's other ailments that we may face that will mimic symptoms of COVID-19. And we will be addressing those on a case-by-case basis. But the wellness check allows for us to be able to research those instances in more detail and confirm that for their safety and for the safety of our other staff and our person served, that we can make an informed decision as whether it's something we need to be more cautious about. And I would suggest that as you work on those surveys, if an individual is known to have allergies and you're working with Valerie, or there's other medical concerns that, again, mimic symptoms of COVID or illness, please openly communicate those with Valerie ahead of time so we can plan to continue to have those discussions with you. And we'll know ahead of time how to best proceed. All right, are there any, Rosalinda, yeah, thank you for the question. Will we be still able to go to casinos and nickel arcades? I think that the answer would be as long as we feel that those sites are keeping safe practices and protocols. Again, we will be evaluating as a team what sites we feel are carrying out proper safety practices and protocols, even to the extent we'll be visiting those sites ahead of time, and we already have some, to visualize for ourselves and experience ourselves what their safety practices are. If we feel like they're doing a good job and this is a place that we feel like we can integrate with our individuals with safely, we will absolutely return to those. One example was, I know a lot of gyms have taken extreme measures to keep their equipment safe, to keep their entry practices safe, where you have to sanitize, of course, mask wearing. And so with those in mind, those gyms that are keeping those protocols, we will be absolutely training our individuals how to safely use the gym equipment and be a part of their gyms, their local gyms safely, especially in the midst of this pandemic. And that's something if as an individual, you're not comfortable with doing quite yet, you still want to do in-person services, but you feel like, I just don't know if I'm ready to return to the gym, certainly let us know that, and we will make accommodations to your in-person schedule. Connor, yeah, when are in-person classes? We'll be generating the dates and times for in-person classes, but they're going to be based off of pods. So if you have a pod that's holding a class, then you absolutely can participate. But for those classes that are company-wide for all our individuals served, those are still going to remain virtual. And so some of the times and dates may change, but more or less they're going to stay the same. All right. Any other questions? And there's some questions coming up about how to properly wear PPE, how to keep face shields clean. All of our job coaches and direct care staff will be equipped with safety packs. And so those safety packs will include hand sanitizers and cleaners, extra masks should a mask happen to fall on the ground, or maybe somebody forgets a mask. I'm guilty of that often. You would think after 15 months of wearing a mask, we would be in a habit of it, but I still forget. So I very much appreciate when I go to a site and they have extra masks there, and we will be doing the same. So while we encourage you to bring your own mask, because I know fashionably we want to wear masks that are cool designs, our masks are simply those the blue medical masks, but we'll certainly have them available should aesthetics not be of a concern. And I know the questions come up, can we drop off at Vocation Plus? And the answer is absolutely. You can drop off individuals here at Program in the Morning Time, and this is where their staff will pick them up for in-person services. There is a time frame requirement. 8:30 to 9 o'clock would be the time window by which we expect individuals to be dropped off. No earlier than 8:30 and no later than 9 o'clock. And we're getting some questions about singing and dancing. All of that can be done virtually at this point. I am the master of dancing and singing virtually, and I think it's a lot of fun. Actually, I'm not. I think Michaela Williams, one of our job coaches, I mean, she knows how to have a virtual party, let me tell you. I have been going to the gym. Yeah, absolutely, Jackie, I hear you. The gym has been they've been taking a lot of great measures to keep people safe who want to keep up with their physical fitness. Do clients get their jobs back? Miguel, I hear you. And yes, we're going to be working for individuals to acquire those same jobs that they had previously, or maybe new ones. That's something your case managers can work with you on. And again, the survey process with Valerie that can be something you bring up with her as of interest for you to continue working, and what kind of work you're wanting to do, whether it be something you were doing before or something new that you've discovered through the last 15 months. And of course, Ashley Rains is our program manager now, and she has many community connections, and she's awesome. And she'll be a big part of that process of reintegrating and reestablishing those relationships with our employers. These are great questions, guys. I think the other question to address transportation is EOC can absolutely drop off here at the office. And Dan has been in consistent communication with EOC about our plans, and they know of the time frame requirements and requests that we have for dropping off here at the office, no earlier than 8:30 and no later than 9 o'clock. I know some people are asking about class space here at the office. We will have the connections building available as a class space. Groups can filter through and use the class space throughout a week, whether it be a morning site or an afternoon site. And each time a group comes, they will disinfect it, including the restrooms and all touch surfaces prior to the next group coming to use this office space for in-person classes. Any other questions? All right. I'll give it a moment longer to see if anybody else has any questions. If in fact you put a question in the chat box that I did not address, please feel free to put it in the question and answer box. Shane asked if there was going to be basketball. I mean, Shane, do you really want to compete against the staff in basketball again? I mean, we're ready when you are, but I think for the time being, you can play basketball with your pod. But in terms of large basketball gatherings and staff versus client basketball, which I know we've all loved, and I think the series is tied right now, we'll have to wait to see how we're able to reopen or restart that. Ooh, the virtual talent show, Raymond, great question. Great. And Raymond is asking about the virtual talent show scheduled for 2021. And I don't know that I can answer that fully. I know that last year's was a success, but I think Dan and Ashley will be planning the next one, whether it be virtual or in person, probably virtual. And in terms of the month, I'll have Dan and Ashley get back to you on that. They are the gurus when it comes to the talent show. Snacks to you, that's a great question. We don't have any future immediate plans to reopen Snacks to You. We are going to continue to, again, trend the pandemic and our ability to reopen a program like a on-site sales company like Snacks to You. There's a lot of challenges that come along with that particular program. And it certainly has been sidelined because of the pandemic, and it's not something we take lightly. But for now, we are not going to be reopening Snacks to the same level it was before. We're going to continue to wait and figure out how best to structure a program that might be similar to Snacks to You moving forward. Your levels of supervision, that's a great question. Your levels of supervision will remain the same as they previously were unless otherwise specified between the time of the pandemic and now with your case manager. And if you have a certain question about your level of supervision, you can absolutely text or call or email your case managers and talk to them about that and what it's going to be when we resume in-person services on June 28th. It looks like there's some questions about some inner office work and some training that we are providing in office, such as administrative assistance and filing, answering phone calls, getting people prepped and ready for office type positions. We will continue to work towards that. It's not something we're going to start right away, but we know that that's in the plans and the roadmap ahead is to get those job training opportunities here in the office available again. Great questions. I do want to remind everybody that this presentation and webinar will be posted on YouTube. So if you need to go back and refresh yourself on some of the material, or if maybe one of your friends or a family member wants to watch it, they can absolutely do that. All right, everyone. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon, taking your time to be with us and learn about our next steps. We are super, super excited to resume in-person services. It has been a long road, and we do not take for granted how well and safe the company has been over the last 15 months. And we are looking forward to seeing people's faces very, very soon. And not just over Zoom. And again, there's no pressure for you to return to in-person services. This is all based off of what you want and what you're comfortable with. I will bid you a good day, everyone. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to your case managers or anyone here at the office. We are all available to help you. Take care and have a great Wednesday afternoon.